presentation. There is a technical challenge. You will not be able to see me. My name is Madiha Gilani. I am from United Arab Emirates, and I welcome you all to the session. We have with us today Gunjan Tomar. Gunjan Tomar will be conducting the inclusive classroom redefining education through AI accessibility solution session. We are delighted to have Gunjan, a seasoned teacher, a trainer, and a recognized expert in education, technology, social emotional learning, and inclusive education. With over 20 years of experience, Gunjan's innovative use of technology, commitment to accessibility, and leadership in global initiatives make her a driving force in the field. A very warm welcome to Gunjan. Please, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Madiha. Thank you. Hello, everybody. How are you all doing? Madiha, can we just have the poll on the stage for everybody, just for us to understand how is everybody feeling? I understand this is working day for most of you, and thank you so much for taking out time for being a part of this session. I would like to thank Global Citizenship Foundation and Pedagogics for giving this session to me, giving me a chance to interact with you all. How are you all doing? You can post your responses in the chats. I would be happy to read those responses if our poll is not working. Okay, I can see many emoticons coming in as thumbs ups. Okay, anybody feeling low or maybe feel that there is the week has still not ended and a lot more to do? Brilliant. Just one more question. Are we all educators or are we also from different domains of education? So here's a poll for you all. How are you feeling today? If you can quickly respond to this poll, we will just get a kind of feel of what my session participants are like, what my audience is like. Similar thing that we do in our classrooms for our students to gauge their mood and then plan our sessions as per their moods to make our learning more enjoyable, more engaging, and more interesting for our students. So there is a poll which is being shared. You can share your responses. It is saying, how are you feeling today? Fantastic, okay, or low. You can choose any choice. So that will give a feel of my the audience today. How is my audience? How are my audience feeling? And then we can begin our session, and maybe a little introduction about where are you all from, so that it's good to know people around the world. It's good to know like-minded people. It's good to know that there are people who believe in continuous professional development, who love to learn. I too have attended many sessions of international conference of transformative education, which were really, really, great and enriching. So that's something that we all look at. And thank you, Global Citizenship Foundation, for providing this opportunity for all of us. So let's begin our session. If you have, something to write in chats, where are you from? What are you? And what subjects do you teach? Which school do you teach? Is it a primary school? Is it a middle school? Is it a secondary school? So that will just help us to know each other better. So as I have already been introduced, so I am Gunjan Tomar. I am working as an inclusion teacher, social emotional learning facilitator, Services Action and Activities Coordinator at DPS International School. And I also work for Pedagogics, who is the partner with International Conference of Transformative Education. Thank you so much. Uh, are you going to share the slide, Nadia, or should I share the slide? Okay, I'm getting some responses in the chat. Hi, Vidya Menon from Surat, Gujarat, for Reliance Foundation School. I lead the middle schoolers in our school. Brilliant. Welcome, Miss Vidya. And Mr. Yogesh is the principal of Reliance Foundation School. Thank you for joining in and welcome to the session. I am Geeta, an educational psychologist, UK. Welcome, Miss Geeta. Welcome to the session. Okay, this session is all about inclusive classrooms, and when we were talking about inclusive classrooms, we this is something. This is the most talked about topic in today's date, and this also is something that we need to understand and that we need to incorporate in our classroom. So, with evolved technology and AI doing so much for us. So, the topic of the session is inclusive classrooms, redefining education through AI and human connection. Why human connection? Because the need of human connection is always there. Like I said, I just did a poll of how are you feeling. That human connect makes it so personal for all of us to make this session, to connect to engage with somebody who understands my needs, somebody who understand, what the power of human connection, somebody who can also understand my needs and chalk out my journey. So that there is where the human connection plays a pivotal role, or a very, very important role. Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah. So we begin with what Bill Gates had to tell us. Technology is just a tool in terms of getting the kids working together and motivating them. And teacher is most important. Technology, why we are using technology, why we are using AI in classroom, why we are recognizing its importance, because today's generation is technology generation. They learn the technology way. So we educators, we teachers have to apprise, we teachers have to professionally develop to reach to their level, to be able to teach them the way they learn. So they are technology generation. So they learn better than us, they learn faster than us. So we, if we are equipped with technology, so the probability of making classrooms engaging, the probability of, you know uh, understanding, learning through technology, or making enriching learning sessions becomes more. Next slide, please. After Bill Gates, we have Satya Nadella. Satya Nadella is also talking about diversity. When we talk about inclusivity, we cannot forget the terminology diversity, equity, and inclusion. So diversity is essential for digital world, not digital world, for all kinds of work. So if we have diverse perspectives, we understand, we understand various ways in which one problem can be interpreted or solved. So we understand different perspectives associated with this problem. We understand that, I might be feeling it this way, but there is also another way of looking at the problem. There is also another perspective. So it broadens our own understanding of the problem. It broadens our own perspectives. So that's the reason, diversity is so, so, so important. You must have recently heard about LinkedIn coming up with something very, very, amazing, called dyslexic thinking. Because dyslexic thinking is such a special kind of thinking, such an out of box kind of thinking, which general or normal, or which we say, regular brains can't think. So that's the power of dyslexia, which at one point of time is used to be considered as a challenge, is now is an added advantage. So that kind of perspective only dyslexic brain can bring. Or maybe my perspective and your perspective are, different. So the diversity, the diverse perspectives that we get in an inclusive classroom is something that builds on the foundation, the globe becoming so small, where the globalization that we are talking about is, maybe it's like education is like what we were thinking before 21st, before COVID, before 2021, is something that is, we feel, how it's like completely a different ball game. We are able to connect, we are able to have exchange sessions over virtual platforms. We are doing n number of projects with any school around the world. So distances and, physical as well as virtual coming in and going in is something which is not a constraint anymore. So this is also uh, in fact benefiting in terms of enriching our understanding, cultural understanding of XYZ place, as well as others getting an insight into our culture, our understanding of how things work at our end. So that's what is the power of diversity. Can I have the next slide, please? And I think, if you don't mind, I will share it. Yeah, that's what the agenda for today's session is: understanding inclusive classroom and why is it so important, and what does redefining education mean, and how can we redefine education using AI, and how human connection play an important role or an instrumental role in making redefining education. As education is there, but how are we making it a high quality learning and teaching experience for students and educators is something that we are going to look at it from the lens of AI and human touch. Next slide, please. Yeah. So this is a link that I'm going to share with you in the chat to be on the same page of understanding. So it's just a little quiz, or maybe a 2 minute quiz of is inclusion a fact or a myth? So I'm sharing this in the chats. You can just attempt this. It's a self-evaluated quiz thanks to AI, which does this for us and which makes educators work so easy to give him or her more time to engage himself or herself in more meaningful work, to create inclusive classrooms, to create personalized learning experiences for students. So just I'm giving you 2 minutes to work on this form, just to be on the same page of understanding is inclusion a myth or a fact. So if you want, I can play the music for you if that helps you to concentrate. And if you want to concentrate without any noise, so do let me know. We will just take 1 minute or maximum 2 minutes to complete this. So I will give you that me time to you to be able to reflect on each practice, identify it as inclusion or myth. It's a grade generated quiz which will give you an idea of how many of them are facts and how many of them are myths. So just to be on the same page of understanding of what inclusion means to all of us. Can we have the next slide, please? Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah. So this is how the role of an educator has evolved, from a teacher to a facilitator to a language facilitator, technology facilitator, and a SEL facilitator. When I say SEL facilitator, it's social emotional learning facilitator. So what is it? From a teacher-centered classroom, it has become a student-centered classroom, but teacher facilitating learning instead of dictating learning, what it used to be earlier. Then the need of language was felt the most. How instructions are being imparted, how learning is being shared, how communication being an extremely important part of day-to-day teaching learning process. So there was a need which was felt that every teacher needs to be a language teacher. With before pandemic as well as during pandemic, the need for technology, every teacher being a technology facilitator, was felt the most. In the physical classroom, what was happening was, when we were giving learning engagements to our students, learning experiences to our students, we could easily identify it from their gestures, the facial expressions, whether they are able to understand the concept or not, what is the challenge that they are facing, and we were able to help them. But this was somewhat not possible during the pandemic time, where the students were behind the cameras, were behind doing their own work. There were n number of things going on at our educators and also at students families and also. So then there was a need to come up as a facilitator who understands students. So that's what the profile of a teacher looks like now. It's a facilitator. Teacher is a facilitator in classroom. Teacher is a language facilitator in classroom. Teacher is a technology teacher in classroom. Teacher is also an SEL facilitator in the classroom. Can I have the next slide, please? So this is what the role of a teacher has now become. I'm sharing another link, and I will be sharing the screen with you. Madiha, if I can request you to unshare your screen. After this, I will share the Padlet link, and I would like to show the Padlet link to everybody to add their responses. So what is it that you feel is an inclusive classroom? How does inclusive classroom look, feel, or sound like? What are your thoughts on that? I'm sharing a link in the chats for you all, and I am also sharing the screen with you all to add your inputs. And as I said, this is a learning session for all of us. If you share your your thinking in the if you share your thinking in the chats, what is going to happen, it will broaden our own understanding, including me as well as the people who are present in the as participants. It's going to add to what we already know. So we all will have some or the other takeaway from the session. So what do you feel inclusive classroom? How does an inclusive classroom look, feel, or sound like? And let me know very, very honestly. If you're not comfortable using Padlet link, we can also use the chat feature. That's what respecting, understanding diversity is all about. That's what real time modification in learning to optimize learning is all about. But I can see one or two participants already there on Padlet, uh, kind of giving their inputs here. So we will wait for 2 to 3 minutes and then we will move on. Okay, different languages, different opinion. It sounds like brilliant. So inclusion sounds like different languages and different opinion. Any other view here? As I said, these are all takeaways for all of us. So please feel free to add to it. Please feel free to share any good practice that you have been doing. Please feel free to add your perspective of how what inclusive classroom looks, sound, and feels like to you. Being in silence. Okay, brilliant. Any other response? So I think we will give, I think, 30 seconds to 1 minute to this experience, to this activity, and then we will move on further. Okay, I have got another experience, and I am getting experience. I am getting responses only under sound. Okay, it sounds like a class with filled with collaborative discussions. That's so beautiful. So you are free to write your names if you want, but if you don't want to write your names, most welcome to do so. Providing support and being reflective. So beautiful. It looks like beautiful. How sweet. So that's how we are constructing our own definition of inclusive classroom. That's what inclusive classroom is all about. That's what how inclusive classroom looks, sounds, and feels like. Providing support and being reflective. A class filled with collaborative discussions, in silence as a part of content. I have understood, or maybe that signifies something that stays with me, something that is there for me, something that I am able to do it comfortably. Different languages, different opinion, being responsible and giving autonomy. That is how it feels like. I am responsible for my own learning. Taking charge of my own learning is something that inclusion is all about. Warm, welcoming, respectful. This is so beautiful. Thank you so much for giving those inputs. Each input matters, and believe me, each input you know broadens our understanding of what inclusion looks, feels, and sounds like. Comfortable with sharing your uniqueness, that's so important. Most of the student would rather go not say anything with the fear of being judged. But once they have that confidence, they can share whatever they have learned. The learning is altogether a different ball game for them and us as educators. Who who more than us can be happy for all this when we see that positive response in our students. So I'm stopping and not sharing my screen anymore. Madiha, can I request you to share your screen, please? Thank you so much. Okay, till the time Madiha is coming up, I will quickly tell you what Miller and Cards have to say about inclusion, what inclusion means to them. This is another research paper. Madiha, if you want, I can also share my screen. Okay, got it. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, Katz and Miller, what they have to say about inclusion is what you have said. You do summarize what inclusion is, what all of you had given inputs on Padlet. Inclusion is a sense of belonging, feeling respected, valued, who you for who you are, feeling a level of supportive energy and commitment from others so that you can do your best work. So, thus, inclusion is a basic human right and it is not a privilege at all. So, that's what inclusion is all about. Inclusion is a sense of belonging, feeling respected, valued for who you are, feeling a level of supportive energy and commitment from others so that you can do your best. That's what Miller and Katz have to say. And inclusion is a basic human right and it's not a privilege. So, we as educators, it's our responsibility to provide that inclusive setup to our students, and also thanks to technology and AI who is making this possible. Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah, this is what UNESCO's definition of inclusive classroom is all about. Inclusive education is all about. Inclusive education is a process of reinforcing the capacity of education system to welcome and reach out to all learners. More specifically, it's a process that involves the transformation of schools and other centers of learning so as to cater to the need of the children, including boys and girls. When we talk about gender equality, gender equity, we talk about students with ethnic minorities, those affected by HIV and AIDS, and those with disabilities and learning difficulties. So that's what UNESCO has to say of what inclusive classroom or inclusive education is all about. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So, uh, Nadiha, I will share my screen here. I will show a video to everybody. This is a UNICEF video, which will not be possible to show without, uh, you know, uh, having a presentation. Thank you so much for your help. Okay, so here's the video for you all. Enjoy this video, and while watching this video I would request you all to make some notes, some mental notes, or maybe you can put that in the chats of what is your takeaway of what inclusion is all about. Give me 1 minute. So beautifully summarized, as a 1 minute, 1.5 minute video. So, any takeaways on what you saw just now? Any takeaways? See, my takeaway was brilliant. I can see many people writing responses here. Inclusive classes where every child feels heard, respected, and valued. Okay, now I what my key takeaways from the video that we just saw was taking differences into account. These were certain words or certain phrases that that resonated with me. Responding to individual needs. This is the fundamental right. We are making a smart investment when we are, kind of giving this inclusive setup to the students, and when we are giving a smart when we are making a smart investment in giving opportunity for every student, every child to blossom, so we are also creating chances of high economic growth. That's what the process is all about. What we teach, the subjects that we teach, we don't know how relevant they are in future. The kind of work we do, where we I did a kind of survey with university people. I interviewed some of the university people. I interviewed some of the people who own the company or who are a part of the company, or the HR of the company, and I also surveyed some school teachers. So what university people told me was, there is a big disconnect between what education is being imparted in schools, and when they come to when these students come to the college, we have to make them learn everything from from scratch. So that's what it is. It is nowhere related to what we how we teach in colleges. So similar question was being asked to 2 3 recruiters also. So what did they have to say was, they said that whatever they are doing in the colleges is not relevant. We have to give them training right from the scratch. So when we are what are we actually teaching is not, when it is not relevant for the future. So what do we do to make it relevant for the future jobs? We can only teach them skills. When we don't know what the content is like, we can teach them skills which will equip them to handle any kind of content. So that's what the learning is all about. That's what inclusive classroom is all about. But skill is something which is easily attainable by everybody. Maybe the milestones may vary, but it can be attained. So that's what we are thinking about. We want to talk about. There are two pictures here, similar scenarios, similar kind of scenarios, but quite different from each other. So I want you all to observe these pictures very, very carefully and come up with. If you can label these two pictures, that will be nice. If you want me to analyze the first picture and the second picture for you, I can do that for you. I can describe this for you. There are three students. The one in the red t-shirt is very, very tall. The girl in pink top is of mediocre height, moderate height, and there is one student who is on wheelchair. So they all want to watch football match across the wall, and everybody is being given one stool to watch. The student in red t-shirt without the stool can also watch, but he's also being given stool, but he's able to watch. This girl is managing somehow, maybe she's raising her toes, or she's trying to climb on the wall uh, to be able to to be able to see the football match. For the third person, nowhere around, deprived from match. Why? Because this stool cannot he cannot make use of this stool to watch or to see the match. Whereas in second scenario, you see the one stool that the red t-shirt boy had is being given to the girl who had pink shirt, who was wearing the pink top. Now both of them are easily able to see, and for the student who was on the wheelchair is being given an inclined plane platform for him to see the match. So that way, all three of them are able to enjoy the match. Would you like to label these two pictures? What are these two pictures? If I have to label these two pictures, brilliant. Brilliant. I can get so many responses. Yes, it's equality versus equity. Can we have the next slide, please? So, what's the difference between the both? Sense of belongingness developed through cohesive environment. So, equality is giving everyone the same kind of shoe, and equity is giving everyone a shoe that fits. So, equality is treating everyone the same, but equity is taking differences into account so that everyone gets a chance to succeed. That is what we are exactly trying to do using AI, and of course with human touch, of course with educators' intervention. That's what we plan to do. Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah. So this is what inclusion is like in a classroom. Uh, all students learn together, teachers collaborate, get support, a kind of gist of whatever we have understood of what inclusion is. This is a kind of summary of what inclusion is all about. Focus on abilities rather disabilities. Teacher gets regular training to develop skills for inclusive classrooms, cater to individual learning styles, honor the needs of the students equitably. They're not writing equally, they're writing equitably, need basis. Value at alternative thoughts and perspectives. That gives me that broadens my understanding, that broadens my depth of understanding. Celebrate diversity and individuality and nurture, share and respect and empathize, to be able to empathize, empathy. So that's what is the power of inclusion. Can I have the next slide, please? Madiha, thank you so much. Yeah. So challenges that student might face in absence of inclusion. If there is no inclusion, what is it? Social isolation. Because I am not included. So what is going to happen? The challenge that the student is going to face is limited opportunities for peer interaction. And what kind of impact it is going to have is hinder the development of the essential social skills that contribute to the feeling of loneliness and exclusion. So that's what the impact is in absence of inclusion. Limited academic opportunity. I might be able to express myself better by speaking, but I am only given a choice to write. So what do I do? I will, as a result of which, if in absence of me not being able to share the learning the way it is being required by the educator, or it is being required by the task that is being given to me, qualifies me to be a failure, or qualifies me not to have appropriate skill set or understanding of the concept. But is that the case? No, it is not the case. I was able to express myself verbally, but writing was a challenge for me. So in that case also the student feels excluded, and constant failures leads to stigma of what learning is all about, and also having a low self esteem. lack of ex- Lack of exposure to diversity. Am I being given a chance to express myself in the medium of my choice? If you look into the differences in account, let's talk about multiple intelligences. I am a visual learner. XYZ is a kinesthetic learner, so he will learn more by doing a role play. I will learn more by making a poster. So why not to group all those students together, like-minded students together, or maybe a mixed ability group, when the task is to create a presentation incorporating role play, drawing, technology and everything. So that's what it is. I get to understand your strengths, and I also get to understand your concern and how I can be of help to you in the area of your challenges, and how can I bank on your support in the area of my challenges. Isn't that what not diversity is all about? Is it not that what we do in future jobs? There is a problem which is being given to a team, and the whole team is responsible for solving it. May it be a battlefield, may it be an office situation, may it be our own teaching learning environment. Isn't it the case? Diversity always help us broaden our perspectives. mixed opportunities for personal growth, and effective preparation for the real world diversity. The real world is diverse. The real world has diverse learning needs. The real world has people with diverse thinking. So that's what it is. Are we preparing them if we are not giving them opportunity? So we are excluding them from the preparation. We are not preparing them for the real world. So this is what the challenge the students might face in future in absence of inclusion. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, role of AI in shaping the future. What is AI doing? We have been hearing a lot about multilingualism. Okay, why multilingualism is suddenly getting so much, recognition? Because we understand the person is best able to express himself or herself in his native language. So when even in the countries where English is the medium of instruction, emphasis is being given to multilingualism if it is being supported by the native language, or if it is being supported by the mother language of the students. It helps them understand the concepts better. So that's what is the power of AI. Gamification and interactive learning. Game everybody likes. Okay, we also at this age are into some game or the other, and we do have some kind of online games or something or the other planned for us in our leisure time. So gamification, and why not to the students relate to games the most. So it makes learning interactive, and it also change the perspective towards teaching learning not being always book and notebook and textbooks. So predictive analytics for student success. So the time that used to take in calculating the result is now being done by AI. So what is the intervention, what is the human touch here? So AI is doing this work for me, for me to be able to understand the kind of learners I have in class, and what is the response to an assessment or an assignment that I can see as a class graph or as a class statistics, to be able to define or to be able to identify my course of action with the students. So it's giving me an insight into the response of my students or to a certain task that I have given. So it gives me a chance to reflect on my own strategies that are being used, something that has worked and something that has not worked, and also pondering on what is it that is going to work for them. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, personalized learning. So you must be aware of these personalized learning platform. What happens is, nowadays every day the student is engaged in learning a concept. So the concept of personalized learning through AI is something that I give a task to the student, similar task to the student. It begins with simple to complex kind of process, simple situations to complex situations, depending on how well you are responding to it. So when there are 2 3 attempts that that student makes for a simple or maybe a moderately difficult question, so then AI is immediately able to understand that, okay, at this point of time this student is struggling. So it will give that student a similar experience of those questions to master the skill or master the concept and then move forward. Which, for an educator, defining n number of assignments, need based assignments, is a kind of impossible task. I'm not saying is not cannot be done, but at that point of time, making those immediate modification is quite challenging. So that's what is the power of personalized learning. Adaptive learning platform. I understand my student has a challenge in reading. So do I deprive him of all the experiences or of all the other skills that are being developed? So if I give him a reading opportunity, if I assign a buddy to the student, and if he's able to do things by understanding it, that buddy being reading to the student, then obviously the student is performing. But what will happen every time I cannot have a buddy and I cannot have an educator? What do? I have AI with me. I have tools like read aloud tools. I have tools like immersive reader across Microsoft platforms and other platforms like Wakelet, and maybe in Microsoft search engine, which we call as Bing. So all these tools are the tools that I am using as an educator to make my student an independent learner in classroom, to understand his or her limitation, and that limitation is no more a limitation. That is challenge in one skill, but you know s- excelling in some other skill. So that can be taken care of by AI, that can be taken care of by AI intervention. And future jobs are also the kind of jobs that these are available for me. If I am tired of reading or typing, I have an option to dictate to Microsoft Word, or to an email, to dictate an email, and it gets it done. It's done for me. So if we have that, those kind of uh, accommodations for students, which we are providing them also in classroom, so why not to use them? Automated grading and feedback. So it's the quickest way of getting the feedback. Teacher takes enough number of time in reading and understanding what the student has written to be able to give the feedback. uh, if this analysis is immediate and the feedback is immediate, the assessment or the assignment is very fresh in students mind. If I take 10 days to correct 30 or 40 papers, so the objective of giving the detailed feedback is lost. Reason being, there are 10 days in between, the student has had n number of assignments and assessments, and he has somehow forgotten what exactly was the assessment or assignment like, and to be able to relate or correlate with the facilitator's feedback. So that's the power of AI. Data analytics for decision making, this we have already discussed. Data is there, it helps me to analyze the my what is my classroom like, and what are the course of actions or the learning experiences that I can design for my classroom to cater to the needs of diverse learners in my classroom. Can we have the next slide, please? Robotics in education, we have been talking about professional development for teachers constantly. We have Google sessions. Google is doing n number of sessions for teachers with technology. Microsoft has learn.microsoft.com, which has free sessions for teachers, which has free courses for teachers, free learning paths for teachers to develop professionally. Because here the need is, we need to develop to be able to cater to the needs of the students, because this generation is a technology generation. Virtual and augmented reality is giving that simulation feel to the student, is giving an opportunity to the student to give actually feel what it is like. Maybe if you are going to a tundra region, how does it feel to be in tundra region? Virtual and augmented realities have made this possible for a student to feel and write, which becomes so much easy for a student or anybody. If they have experienced something, it becomes more relatable, it becomes more understandable compared to what is being told or what is being read. Can we have the next slide, please? Next slide, please. Yeah, brilliant. Common challenges encountered by the students and the teachers. What do you think are the common challenges encountered by the students and the teachers? Anybody? We will just spend 2 to 3 minutes, and I will show you some kind of statistics uh, to understand, what the student are like and what the educators' challenges are like. Anything. You all have been educators at some point of time in your life. What do you think are the challenges? Vidya ma'am, Menon ma'am, reading progress, brilliant. I have been using reading progress, and why not? Time management. Thank you, Pooja ma'am. Miss Pooja, thank you very much. Time management is something that most of the students struggle with. Consistency is something that most of the students struggle with. Anything else? Educators can become exhausted catering to individual needs of the students. So brilliant, so true. And that's what is the power of AI, ma'am. That's where AI can come into the picture and become your assistant. But without your human touch, it is nothing. Educators can become exhausted catering to the needs of the students. What else? Parents' pressure is also there. So don't worry. we have hired an AI for all of us for education. I think it should help us with that. Brilliant. Lack of resources, understandable. Brilliant. I think this is something coming straight from the heart of the educator. So we are going to cater to all these. Madiha, may I request you to unshare the presentation? I am quickly going to share some analytics of I have the survey that I did with educators and students. And when I was talking to students, it was not my school students. These were students across Gurgaon and Delhi NCR region, and I was wanting to understand the connection between interest, attention, and engagement, because that's what we require for learning to happen, and also the common challenges that educators face in the day-to-day classroom. I'm quickly going to share my screen with all of you to show you the analytics, which is more or less like what you all have already interpreted for me. So here is the interest. This is the student survey that I did with the students. And what did I identify here was, see, are you a primary school student? Most of them were middle and college student. Most of them were secondary school student and college students. On a typical day, how often do you find yourself easily distracted by external factors or stimuli while studying or engaging in activities? So seven of them said almost always, and most of them said often, and most of them also said sometimes. So when studying or attending classes, what types of stimuli or factors are most likely to capture your attention effectively? So they said visuals, novel or unfamiliar ideas. Maximum was visuals. After that was personal relevance. It has to have personal relevance to me. Then interactive and hands-on activities is something that they were looking at. Emotional content, story, real life examples, that is what they were looking at. Then they had novel and unfamiliar ideas. Okay, that immediately grabs their attention. And some of them also said other such things. Okay, so do you find it easier to sustain attention when the subject or the topic is being discussed is aligned with your personal interest or passion? So 31 of them said, I will just show you the percentage. 57% said yes, always. uh, 37% said yes often, and 20% said sometimes. So that's what the statistics is all about. How do you feel when you encounter a topic that genuinely interests you? So 43% said excited and motivated to learn more, and 57% said curious and eager to explore further. So this is a kind of insight we are getting into, as an educator, into a student's mind. What is it that they like? What is it that they want in learning? Which of the following strategies would most likely increase your interest in the subject or the activities? So the maximum responses were for hands-on experience and practical application. So we were talking about simulations. We were talking about AR, VR, augmented reality, and virtual reality. So that can be one of the things. Engaging in relatable examples. Yeah, I can relate to opportunities for personal choices and autonomy. So maybe if I give them a choice board where my objectives, my learning outcome remains the same, and I give them guidelines of what I am expecting as an outcome of this learning experience, and then I give them choices. So that kind of choices they were asking for. Real world relevance and application will make sense, and problem solving challenges and puzzles will make sense to them. That's what they said about their interest. So how would you describe your attitude towards these subjects, following subjects and activities from the scale of 1 to 5? So this is their rating. And if you look at this, maximum scores are being gained by either English language arts or arts or creativity. And physical education has also scored more here. So something for all of us to reflect on when we are talking about interdisciplinary learning, when we are talking about transdisciplinary learning. How is it that we can add or maybe incorporate the good part of these co-scholastic subjects into our learning to make it more meaningful and engaging for our students. Have you ever experienced a change in the attitude towards the subject or the activity based on learning experiences or exposures to the new information? Most of them said, yes, I have changed my attitude positively. Some of them said, no, my attitude remains the same. And some, very few of them said, yes, I have changed my, it has impacted them negatively. So this is very few, only two of them. How do you think attention, interest, and attitudes are related to each other during the learning process? So, maximum of them said, my interests affect how much attention I pay to the subject. Second one said, the second maximum were, I think, positive attitude makes it easier to sustain the attention, and attention influences my level of interest and attitude. So, that's what the student had to say. And in your experience, which of the following combination do you find most effective in promoting engagement and learning? So they said high attention, high interest, and positive attitude were the keys. So we are trying to get this from AI. So this is what the facilitators' responses was. The educators' responses were, total number of educators were 83. So out of this, blue ones are private schools, orange ones are government schools. There is no green one, and others are three. So, what kind of challenges do you face in learning? So, majority of them were time management. There were other challenges also. Challenges, students getting distracted in classroom, reading, writing. All these were the responses that were being given, similar to what you all had shared, and they all had devices. So through this, we could know that if they have devices, and if they if that is the challenge they are facing, so we can look into something related to technology. Can you just start sharing your screen, Nadia? Thank you so much. I will keep moving, understanding the constraint of time that we have. Okay. So you must have also heard about universal design for learning. So universal design for learning, as the word itself says, that it is a design, it is a learning, it is a design that caters to the learning needs of all students. So the first thing in universal design for learning is multiple means of engagement. First, there has to be an engagement with the students, then only learning can take place. Yeah, I've already shown this. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is what it is: recruiting interest, sustaining effort and persistence, and self-regulation. This is something that we look at first. Then there should be multiple means of representation, where we were talking about perceptions, languages and symbols, and comprehension, and also adding multimodality in your teaching learning process, multiple modes of learning, how it can be at one point of time, it can be a verbal instruction supported with a written instruction, supported with an audiovisual, supported with a video, or something of this kind. Multimodality in classroom. I'm not saying have a plethora of choices, but do identify the majority of the needs of your classrooms and how you can cater to those needs. Then we have multiple means of action and expression, where we were talking about I am able to express myself better as a role play, but I have a challenge in writing or expressing myself as writing. So their action and expression can come into picture, where we have multiple means of representation. We can give them a choice board activities, not compromising. I'm again and again saying, not compromising on the quality, not compromising on the guiding pointers of the expected outcome, but giving them a choice of expressing themselves in the way they want, giving them a choice of mixed ability group, giving them the choice that they are comfortable expressing. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, we will skip this. We have already discussed this. What should you do to make learning more accessible for learners? So these were the general challenges that we had already discussed: reading and comprehension challenges, writing challenges, focus challenges. And this is something which I really liked, and this meme is very dear to me. Dear math, please grow up and solve your problems on your own. I won't help you find your X, and please don't ask me why. So much, like every time I read this, I feel it's coming straight from the heart of a child who's facing n number of challenges in math. So why not to make it more accessible to them? Why not to make learning more accessible? See, learning can only take place when the foundation skills are being taken care of. Literacy skills, math skills. These are the skills. If they are in place, so they will not face those many challenges in social sciences, and other subjects. So that's what we can work on using the power of AI. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. So role of an educator in optimizing the use of AI tools and making learning accessible for them. As we have all already, spoken about it. We as educators understand the needs of the school and we understand the course of action. If we also understand the kind of AI tools available for learning, we can kind of map it very well to the needs of the student. Selecting appropriate AI tool, that's we have already discussed. Providing professional development in action. Professional development is not something that you are calling somebody from outside. It can be within your school community also. I have used one tool which have worked out wonders in my class. I can share it with others. Maybe it is a hit in their class also. So that kind of professional development can also be taken care of. Customizing learning experiences. How are you customizing learning experiences? By differentiating the task. When I say differentiating the task, differentiation in terms of needs. I'm not saying make it a grade 2 level task if the expectation from the student is of grade 8 level or grade 11 level. So don't do that. So how am I customizing? Maybe I'm giving one child some pointers. I'm supporting some child with audiovisual to help him or her understand the concepts better as a resource. Monitoring students' progress and action, and also constantly monitoring the student of the provided intervention, how it has proved for the student. Is it making sense to him? Is he showing progress by using this kind of intervention with AI? So that kind of monitoring has to be done constantly, because we understand that we by maybe finding some permutation combination only, we will be able to understand what is working and what is not working. Can I have the next slide, please? Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. And ensuring accessibility. Is learning accessible? You are giving me a passage of 200 words and I have a limitation to read. My focus is all the time in decoding and phonetically sounding the words correctly, because of which my comprehension takes a back seat. So, what is going to happen if I'm being given a tool, if I'm being given a liberty to use a tool which can read for me? This will help me to do what is expected from me, because the journey to reach the outcome is so tiring that I cannot reach the outcome. Promoting collaboration and peer support, ethical use of AI. Students, no doubt, are technology age students, but it is our responsibility to teach them how to use that technology ethically, responsibly, and with integrity. Advocating inclusive policies, so you understand, that's what the scenario is. You are the stakeholders in education. Why you all can contribute to making policies in your school of advocating what inclusive policies are. So if you are equipped to handle inclusion in your classroom, continuous reflection and improvement. So that's what continuously, if we are reflecting and we are improving what is working, what is not working, what went well, what did not went well, and why did it not went well, some kind of reflection, it will always help us to improve. Can we have the next slide? Yeah, these are certain scenarios in our classroom, making reading experiences immersive for students. I would have loved to give you a demo of all of these, but I don't think time will permit that. But if time permits, I'm surely going to show the magic of all these tools. So can I have the next slide? This is what immersive reader does. Immersive reader is available across the platform of all the Microsoft platforms. Maybe it Word, maybe it is PowerPoint, maybe it is any Microsoft platform. OneNote. This is a kind of screenshot from OneNote, where there are students who face challenges in reading when the text is written very close to each other. There is no spacing in between that. So this is the magic that is there in immersive reader. You can write it down. uh, Thank you so much, Miss Meenakshi. Thank you so much. You can just write it down. What this tool is, it is called immersive reader. So the challenges that students face are, maybe the text is becoming too overwhelming for them to read. So you can space it out for the ease of reading. This tool reads the text for the student. It reads it at the pace the students wants. I can increase or decrease the pace. I can also ask the students to identify, okay, this is the text that you have been given, and now you have to identify the noun, verbs, adverbs, adjectives, or whatever you have learned. So let the student mark adjectives, adverbs, and all, and then there is an option of choosing, turning on the nouns, adjectives, that becomes color coded. So that's how you are empowering a student to self reflect on his or her work, or to take responsibility of his or her learning. Another brilliant tool here is a lookup thing. What lookup does? If I don't understand the meaning, I hover my mouse there, and as a result of which, what I get is, I get a picture of what that word means, and also getting in an understanding of what that word is, which automatically improves my comprehension. So these are the brilliant features of immersive reader. You can increase the font size, you can change the background. There are some students who face challenges in reading it as a black and white background. So if you reverse it, or maybe if you change the background, it is easier for them to read. So that kind of depth in terms of understanding students need. And these are certain some simple things, and which we don't have to do anything in that. AI is taking care of it, but we certainly play an extremely important role in identifying the needs. Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah, another magical tool is reading progress. What is reading progress doing? Self-paced learning. It has got its own text also. But if you want your text to be given to it, you can give the student your text. It records the student's reading, and it gives the real-time analytics. And it's a research-based tool. It gives a real-time analytics into what kind of learning did the student do, how many words were being pronounced in a minute, how many were being accurately pronounced, how many were misspelled, how many were omitted, and all that kind of analytics, and that too instant. Which, as an educator, if you convert this scenario into a manual scenario, not taking the help of AI, what will it happen? I will have to first find out n number of worksheets to be able to suit the need of the student. Once I get that, then I will have to find the worksheets that will show the progression of learning. So that kind of Hercules task is there for me, but everything is being taken care of by AI through reading progress. It is giving me an analytics, and over a period of time, I can track my students' progress. Is my intervention making sense to the students? Is my intervention improving my students' reading skills? So that's the power of AI and human touch. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, certain things here. You have electronic books, you have books adapted for page turning, because certain students, they want to have a feel of a virtual book. They want to have a feel of a physical book. So virtually, if they have a page turning feature, so it gives them that they are connected to that physical book. Word scanners, word highlighters, predictable text. You must have experienced this. Whenever you are writing an email, there is something or the other that comes up. Even in word, some suggestions come up. So this is not making your students dependent. It is also providing them with the opportunity of understanding what can be the possible text, or maybe enhancing their writing skills. So these are certain interventions that can be used. Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah. So dictation tool is something that we all are aware of. So instead of, writing, I am not good with typing. I can use a dictate tool and side by side improve my handwriting. Also for the learning support students who get the help of the scribe or the typing assistant. Dictation tool works very well in the mainstream classroom, because mainstream classroom, every time it's not possible for us to provide a student or an educator to type. So that's something that can be looked into. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah, dictation tool, it can be used in Word, Outlook, OneNote, presentation, anywhere and everywhere. Can I have the next slide, please? I just have 5 to 7 minutes. So that's the, you can see a mic here in Word. So that is where, you can use dictation tool, you can dictate it and it will, start writing for you. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah. So these are certain features, highlighter, prompter, anecdotal templates and all. And even for that matter, Coggle, it's a mind map. It helps the students to organize their thoughts. Once my thoughts are organized, I can translate it into writing. So that's also something that can be looked into. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, magnifier, vision, viewing information are also maybe focusing. So speech to text software is there, which is the dictation tool. Magnifier is there. Focus is in Microsoft Word also helps in this. And when you use immersive reader, it highlights each and every word. So it also helps the students to engage with the text or understand what the text looks like, what the word looks like, and also for the visual and viewing, the students who face these visual vision challenges, they can hear the information. For the hearing students who have hearing challenges, the sensor based hearing aids can really help. And even if I'm not able to hear, all the platforms nowadays, including AirMeet, Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, they all have caption options. Even if you look at YouTube, they also have a caption option. This is just to increase the accessibility of the content that is being shared. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay. Learning tools, immersive reader, this we have already experienced, already talked about. Please check out this immersive reader, amazing tool this is for your students. There's a scenario here. How can I read when I have a low vision? So immersive reader, you can increase the font size, you can color, contrast, everything can be changed as per the student's needs. Here the power of educator is coming into picture to make learning personalized or customized for each student. Can I have the next slide, please? Next slide, please. Thank you. Narrator. Brilliant. You just have to type Windows, Control plus Enter, and the screen will be narrated for you. For the people who have low vision or the people who would like to who have reading challenges, so that can also be there for the students or for the educators who would like to maybe kind of plan the time. And I'm very tired, I don't feel like reading, so I will give this work to my AI assistant who can do this for me, and my work is being done by listening to the information and working on the information. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, live captions, we have discussed this. We have already also discussed the power of translator. Translation can happen in Microsoft Word, translation can happen in PowerPoint, translation can happen everywhere. It is also something called, we have been talking about multilingualism. Quickly, Madiha, we just have 1 minute, and I wanted to show them the power of ChatGPT and Google Bard. So this is immersive reader. We can move on to the next slide. Timekeeping, okay, Cortana, Siri, Alexa, all that things can help us in timekeeping. Management, time management was a challenge. Google Calendars can help us. Microsoft Calendars can help us, keeping a track of the time. There is superb tool by the name of Math Tool. Can you just change the slide? I'll quickly explain what this tool is like. Okay, this is again math, solve your problems on your own and grow up now. Math has actually grown up and Microsoft has helped math to grow up. So this is an equation. I use my command insert and use the math tool. It solves the problem for me. It also gives me the steps to understand, how the equation is being solved. It also gives me similar kind of 10 to 15 questions depending on my needs. So that is where when the educator has to customize or plan questions for the students, it is automatically done by AI using Microsoft Forms. Can I have the next slide? Please try out this is a bang on tool for everybody. Next slide, please. Translator, we have discussed the power. Quickly, I will show you what it is like. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, this is this is the text. I am translating it into different language. Number one, why am I translating? Because I am a new language learner. So when I translate it into my language, I am able to establish that connection between the language that I am learning and my native language. So it helps me comprehend the text better. Can I have the next slide, please? So n number of languages are available. You can translate it, and thanks to the evolved AI, this time the translation is very very close to what the actual text is like. So that's the power of AI. So social emotional learning, how you are catering to the social emotional learning. So it is talking about 4 to 5 domains of social emotional learning. Can I have the next slide? Self awareness, social awareness, responsible decision making, self management. So how technology is doing, when you are personalizing it, you are catering to the needs of social emotional needs of the students. You are empowering them with the power of AI. You are empowering them how to use technology effectively, and which also takes care of their social emotional well-being. Real-time feedback and assessment helps them to understand and take responsible decisions. And maybe Cortana, Siri and all, virtual role playing or simulation, they are helping me to understand the concept better. So this is all impacting the social emotional learning. Can I have the next slide, please? Time is up. I understand. If I can get 2 more minutes, I just wanted to show them the chat GPT and Google Bard thing. Will that be possible? Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you so much, Madhya. That's very kind of you. Next slide. Adaptive voice input. We have already discussed chat GPT and Google Bard magic. What is this magic all about? Next slide, please. Brilliant. So what do you do? So you can what? How can ChatGPT and Google Bard help you? So you can make personalized learning plans. What do you do? What do you give? So you all have to be brilliant prompt engineers. What are prompt engineers? So as teachers, as I said, the role of a teacher has changed from being a facilitator to being a social emotional learning facilitator, language teacher, technology teacher, everything. Now you know what exactly you have to get the work, what kind of work you have to get from AI. You are giving them a standard passage that you are sharing or a case study that you are sharing, and you are asking it to customize it as per the student who has reading challenges, as per the students, to give students some guiding questions so that they know when they have to do the task, they have to incorporate all those guiding questions, and that is what makes their task a complete kind of task. Adaptive learning material, what are the suggested strategies that you can suggest for a learner who is facing challenges of collaboration in my classroom? So this is the power of AI that you can incorporate. Lesson planning can be wonderful using AI. You can ask AI of possible things that can be done. So my only request to you is, pause to reflect on your lesson planning, reflect on the plan to ensure that it is accessible to all learners. Plan, reconsider your planning and incorporate changes to make your deliverables accessible to all, and implement your plan and be proud of yourself as you have made learning possible for all. That is all from my side. Any Q&A, any questions that you would like to ask? I wanted to share a wakelet link with everybody to share their feedback. Feedback always helps us to grow, understand what is required, what went well and what did not go well, and it really helps us grow, and as educators and as facilitators or presenters. Thank you very much. Any questions? You're most welcome to ask. I have shared a Wakelet link for your inputs. Your inputs matter. Your feedback matters. It helps us to know what is it that is required by the audience. I am acha, I I did not get any questions. Thank you for the informative session. Thank you so much, Ms. Shahina. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being a lovely, lovely, lovely audience and interactive audience. Without this session being interactive, I also had a lot of takeaways in today's session. Thank you so much, Ms. Pooja. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Mokshashri Patel, ma'am. If I'm pronouncing your name correctly, sorry if it is not being pronounced correctly. Shivranjani, Miss Shivranjani, thank you very much. Thank you for being a wonderful, wonderful audience, and thank you for for sharing your inputs in the session and making it an interactive session for all. Thank you very much.